Welcome to the Mount Daniel Mathematics presentation for families.
My name is Kim Morrow-Leong. I'm the K-5 Math Specialist at Mount Daniel.
My name is Jen Fessenden. I'm the Pre-K to 12 Mathematics Coordinator. Miss Jillian Lowe serves as our Mount Daniel Mathematics Interventionist. Miss Lauren Capozzi serves as our Kindergarten Math Lead. Miss Susan Alverson serves as our first grade math lead, and Miss Diane Kidder serves as our second grade math lead. Our agenda today is to take a look at what mathematics looks like in action at Mount Daniel, look at how teachers plan for instruction, discuss the mathematics process goals, standards, and curriculum that your students are learning, learn how we monitor student progress and what supports we offer to students, and share some additional resources that may benefit you.
Our classrooms utilize a math workshop model, which means that teachers have the opportunity to serve the needs of all students. Students will work individually with teachers, or they'll work at small groups, or they may work independently. This offers us an opportunity to differentiate and serve the needs of all students as they work in small groups. We also focus on modeling the mathematical ideas that we are learning. We do this through exploration or through inquiry. This means that students are exploring ideas, either using manipulatives or they're using other visual aids that help them visualize the mathematics. We also expect students to communicate about what they're learning. They learn to justify their answers, explain their reasoning, and engage in other forms of math talk that encourage thoughtful and productive discourse in the classrooms. This gives them the opportunity to engage in productive problem solving that makes them into productive math learners. Some of the activities we like to use in the classroom are games. Games offer students ideas about mathematics and ways to formulate their thinking. It gives them opportunities to work with a partner as well. Open-ended tasks encourage them to think outside of routine tasks, and it gives them the opportunity to add visuals to their thinking and also to work with their partners. Each week, our teachers plan collaboratively. They work with the math specialists. They also may work with the advanced academic specialist or anyone else who has a vested interest that particular week in what the teachers are planning. They have opportunities to explore differentiations for students and also to look in detail at some of the data that are gathered about students in order to make the best planning decisions for their students. This ensures also that our teachers are working consistently together in the mathematics that they are doing with their students. Teachers have frequent opportunities to look deeply at the mathematics their students will be learning. What they're looking for are the various ways that students might reason about the mathematical ideas. By understanding the wide variety of approaches students may take, they're able to develop productive feedback for each student. We can do this because we offer frequent professional development for teachers to explore these ideas.
In Falls Church City, we follow the Virginia Department of Education Mathematics Standards for Learning, which were recently revised in 2023. We first implemented them in the 2024-2025 school year. We follow the standards of learning and use some great mathematics tasks written by Math Forward, and our new mathematics curriculum resource that we've adopted for this year is called KidUp. Students still have access to DreamBox and Zearn supplemental resources, and those can be accessed by the letters that were sent home from your students' teachers. In addition to the standards or the skills that students learn, there are also process goals. The process goals are the meat of the real-world mathematics. The process goals used to be an add-on to the standards. They were sort of done separately. Teachers would teach the process goals and they would teach the standards separately. And now students had to be proficient with explaining their thinking, justifying their answers, and creating models and representations in order to show full proficiency of the standards.
The data cycle is a recent addition to the Virginia Standards of Learning. The standard applies to all math courses through Algebra 2. While the specific contents and details are grade appropriate, the data cycle standard in every grade encourages students to formulate questions that interest them and collect relevant data. The students will then analyze this data and learn how to communicate the results to a specific audience. Kindergarten.
Yes.
One of the biggest ideas in kindergarten mathematics is one-to-one correspondence. This is the idea that when counting, one number corresponds to exactly one object. Models like 10 frames and number paths help students structure and visualize quantities. Kindergartners learn to build representations of these quantities using tools such as a number path, a 10 frame, or a bead rack. Number paths are a precursor to number lines, and they give younger students an opportunity to count spaces, while the 10 frame focuses students' attention on the quantity 10, which sets them up for success to understand place value. The bead rack extends this focus to 2 groups of 10. First graders continue to focus on groups of 10, grouping up to 120 objects in groups of 10. With sets of single objects remaining. This focus on groups of 10 is a foundation for building the place value structure, a critical understanding that 10 objects can be represented as one group of 10 or as 10 individual objects. Students also learn to reason about quantities within 20, building their fluency with these addition and subtraction facts. In an early introduction to fractions, students are introduced to the idea of an equal or fair share, while they also learn to tell time to the half hour. Measurement in first grade is skill-based. They are learning to line units up next to the object they are measuring, as well as explore what happens when they use different sized units of measure. Second grade students continue to count flexibly, but now can count up to 200 objects using counting strategies they learned last year. In addition to counting, students will extend the work they've been doing with place value to include not just 10 groups of 1, but also 10 groups of 10, making 100. More importantly, they learn to break apart and put quantities together flexibly, setting them up for success adding and subtracting numbers with regrouping. Adding 2-digit numbers is a core skill for second grade, but it is also a core conceptual idea. Decomposing whole numbers into tens and ones offers many opportunities for flexible addition and subtraction. For example, adding 33 and 45 on the number line starts with one add-in marked on the number line and the second add-in expressed in jumps of 10 and 1. Students are invited to recognize the same quantities represented in base 10 blocks. Finally, in second grade, students begin to use standard measuring tools, such as a ruler, for the first time.
Teachers use a variety of data to monitor student progress toward mastery of standards. At Mount Daniel, teachers use common benchmark assessments, STAR Math in grades 1 and 2, BKRP in kindergarten, which is a Virginia Kindergarten Readiness Assessment, formative assessments such as quick checks, and anecdotal notes and observations of their students.
Sure.
We follow the tiered systems of supports to make sure that all students receive the right instruction at the right time. All students are engaged in Tier 1 core instruction. Tier 1 instruction is universal support for all students. That includes differentiation in the classroom, and such as in small groups. Tier 2 is identified as core and more. Students receive their core instruction and a little more in an additional small group with their teachers in the classroom or sometimes through an interventionist. Tier 2 is targeted for support for some students who are at risk. We're talking only about 5 to 10% of students. Tier 3 is what we call core and more and more. In Tier 3, students receive their core instruction, a little more from their classroom teacher, and usually some time with our interventionist, Ms. Lowe. Tier 3 is individualized support for a few students, and it is intensive with intensive and persistent challenges. Again, this is only for a few students, usually around 1 to 5%. There are some resources linked here for you that may be of use. The first one is from the Virginia Department of Education. They have a whole website that shares resources for families and communities. You can find additional information about our mathematics program on the FCCPS Mathematics website. There's a great site called Fluency Without Fear that talks about automaticity and learning math facts. There's a site called Fluency by Heart that allows students to practice their addition, subtraction, and multiplication facts in a visual way. Math Flips also allow students the opportunity to practice addition, subtraction, and multiplication with visual models. There are really great mathematics progression videos by a mathematician named Graham Fletcher, and those videos are linked here. They're worth a watch. And additionally, all of your students have access to DreamBox and Zearn, which can be accessed at home through the family letter. If you can't find the family letter that was sent home early in the year, please feel free to reach out to your student's teacher. If you have any questions about anything mathematics related in Mount Daniel or FCCPS in general, please feel free to contact us. Thank you.